So, stenciling ideas for on a suitcase. I thought this would be great for out on the front porch, the front veranda as we call it here in Australia. It'd be a great prop there to pop some plants in front of, or even there's enough space to put a small pot on top, decorate it with some other things. But there are some great porch signs ideas that you could use for that. Let me just show you some of the ideas I thought of. You could actually use these gorgeous Algerian fonts letters, A to Z, we've got the whole set of those, and put your family name or put some kind of greeting on the front with those. Then I thought a spring, you've got all these gorgeous spring stencils. Let me just point you down here a little minute so we can kind of get the idea. From the spring sets, they would look great on a stencil, and imagine putting one here and then a big flower on here. I've got the flower stencils. I'm actually going to be using this set today. So I'm going to speed it up here a little bit, and I'm just showing you some of the other essential stencils that you could use on this kind of an idea. Imagine this, vintage. These are all available at essentialstencil.com. Use my code IRestoreStuff to get 10% off. What about this idea for a wedding? You could paint the suitcase white or whatever colour you'd like. Bride, groom, Mr. and Mrs. Welcome to our wedding sign. Lovely piece of vintage decor for a vintage wedding. Garden wedding, all of those kind of things, so you can imagine that. This is us, our life, our story, our home. Happiness is homemade. So many lovely stencils that are around that size. What about a spring stencil? Spring is in the air. You can imagine that's a cute little bike. Putting it over to the side there, you could add some more flowers or floral things on the side of that. Or angel wings, and these have been really popular with Essential Stencil, so get yours. I was trying to figure out which way it goes, upside down. You could also do a welcome to our porch. Now on this suitcase, this is a porch idea that I've got already, but the porch usually would go vertically, but you could put the word up a little bit closer. I'm horizontally. Using the hello. Well, hello so there. Today I'm using the Oh Hello flowers. Oh Hello there stencil. 50 left of these, and I'm using this flower set. This one I think is a dahlia. The set comes with 3 different flowers. You've got a rose. And this one is a sunflower. And this is a sunflower. And the other one. That's the dahlia, first thing we're going to be doing today. Is putting sunflower. What I'm going to use for this one. Sort of down here on the corner. So to put your stencil on, you need to tape it down. Well, that's the best idea anyway. I'm going to show you how you can go over the edge of the suitcase too, to make your stencil kind of go around the suitcase. I probably won't put it on the base of the suitcase simply because the suitcase is going to be stood up like a prop. Here's my stenciling technique that I use. I'm just holding it down carefully with my other hand because the suitcase is actually quite uneven, the surface is. It's bowing in the middle. It's quite an old lumpy bumpy suitcase. So to make it really firm, I'm kind of pouncing a little bit more and just going really slowly around there. It's easier to add more paint on than it is to clean off if I've put too much on the stencil. So I'm just going around that in a yellow. Now this is artisan chalk paint in the colour Provencal. I think that's how you say it. It's a French word. It's a lovely sunny yellow, great for a sunflower stenciling. And I'm only going around onto the petals right now, so I'll show you what I'll do. I'll add another colour for that centre part of the stencil there. I'm using Essential Stencils brushes, so if you're in the USA, during COVID they weren't shipping to Australia internationally, so at the moment Essential Stencil products are only available to the USA. And now I'm going to turn it over. I'll show you down the side here how you can turn it around. Whoops, I had to put it up there because that lid of the suitcase kind of makes it poke out. So I'm just holding it with my other hand. And once again, just sort of pouncing the brush up and down onto the stenciled area, being careful not to let that bleed right through. So there you go, it kind of looks like it's going around the side. We'll show you that in the end as we go. This is the colour Mocha. It's a chocolatey brown colour that I'm just going to use the same brush that I had the yellow on. I'm just using that same brush because it doesn't matter that it's got yellow on it. I always offload, so that little white paper down the side there is offloading. It blends really well with this yellow, this mocha colour, and it's a very subtle change. You probably could go a lot darker on that brown. And that's how you do blending it there with the petals. And our letter and our word O could even go across the top, and that wouldn't matter. We could bend that over the top, and that would be great. So we've got the H, and we'll have the E next to that. And now how many letters in hello? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we want our center letter. Let's just make sure they're all the same width. If we have a look at the letters, the letter L is a bit narrower than the O, but the H is about the same width as the O. So you just have to sort of think a little bit about this mathematically to make sure that those center letters, so the O and the H, are similar size. The E is exactly the same width as the L. You can see that font lines up at the bottom of the E. So it should all work out because H is the first letter, O is the last, and then we've got the E, L, L in the middle. So we're going to have an L in the middle. H, E, L, L, O. So if I do the middle letter first and then I work backwards, but what I do want to make sure is that I've got this here. Is that all making sense? Is everyone with me? Okay, so speeding it up again here, I'm just showing you how much paint I do have on the bristles of my little stencil brush. You really don't need a lot. Just make sure, see how I've just taped down at the very base of that L there? Because that L is very close to the edge of the stencil, and we don't want that brush or the paint to go off the stencil and onto the blue suitcase. So always put tape right where the edges of the stencils are a little bit close to the edge of the mylar, the plastic. So we've got the L in the center there, so now we just have to put another L on either side. So as you can see, this is a vertical stencil meant for vertical placement, saying oh hello down a signboard, but I'm using it horizontally for this suitcase, old suitcase idea. I've got a sunflower there on the bottom, and so yes, the letter H will go, or H or H, however you would like to say it. I'm just using the end of my paintbrush to literally just make sure the L is in the same distance from the bottom or the base of the suitcase each time that I move it across. That's all that is. Again, offloading. I'm using a colour called Goddess Ashwagandha. It's a fusion mineral paint colour. Fusion's just a furniture paint, a mineral paint. You can get that all over the world. I'm a retailer for Fusion. Here in Australia, I stock it in my Brisbane booth at the Camp Hill Antique Centre, or you can buy it online and I'll ship it Australia-wide. Again, this suitcase has got a really uneven surface, so for this O, it's coming up near the edge, so I just have to hold my hand down around anywhere that the stencil has raised up. So I'm pushing it right as I go right around that section there to make sure it's really flat against the surface. And now the word there goes at the base of this stencil normally on a vertical porch stencil. And so I'm just going to put it down on the bottom here, and then we'll finish it off with the letter H on the other side and the word O, OH. Just using the same colour. It's a nice off-white. It's got some grey undertones, a little bit creamy in colour, and just making sure that that's going to match up there. All right, so the letter H
is going to go over the top of the sunflower, and we're doing that on purpose because the sunflower is just meant to be a bit of a background there. But to do that, just got to make sure it's covering really well. I don't know if you can see that there, but the white or the off-white, you could still see the sunflower a little bit through. So I'll just see how it is after one coat, and I may have to go back over it with a second coat just to make sure that that covers over the top of the yellow, because you want it to be not see-through, you want it to be really solid, pretty solid colour in there. I'll have a look in a minute. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so that's bright enough. Turned out pretty well. Super happy with that. Now the word O up the top, so it's an Oh hello there sign. Lots of fun. You know, you could just add more flowers across there. You could add another sunflower or two to the top. Essential Stencil has a bunch of different sunflower arranged stencils. Some are, you know, like sunflowers on the back of a truck, all kinds of things you could add to these suitcase ideas for decor in your home, you know, a kid's bedroom or living room, just as a little side thing to put things on. You could even stack suitcases together. And there we go. That's it, pretty much finished now. So that's me just kind of explaining a little bit of how you can do shadowing. I do have that technique. I haven't done that on this case, but that's it. All done.